releases up to this point, because there could still be more in the next week or so. We don't
Right.
know. But right now, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Alba Fire, Zoe Stark, Bo Dallas, Andre Chase, Dexter Loomis, Eric Rowan, Alistair Black, Zelina Vega, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin, also known as the Motor City Machine Guns, Santos Escobar, Apollo Cruz, Kyrie Sane, Luca Crisafino, who they just repackaged, Tyson DuPont, Tyreek Igwe, Serena Linton, Trill London, who they were just building up, Malik Blade, Tyra May Steele, who won season 1 of LFG, Chris Island, and Carly Bright. So a number of names in all different levels of from developmental to main eventers were one swift kick out the door on Friday. And there are definitely a few of these that are huge surprises. But I want to start with a couple that maybe weren't as big surprises, but still kind of annoyed by. So I want to start actually with the Wyatt Six, because obviously all 5 of them are gone.
All gone.
The entire Wyatt Six is gone. And this was a group where, if you recall, they had one of the greatest, most impactful debuts ever. It was a literal crime scene at the end of that Monday Night Raw. There was wrestlers, agents, referees, security guards beaten and bloodied and just destroyed by these monsters. And then they were gone. And then they came back and were baby faces. And then they were gone. And then they came back, won the tag titles, had a mix of face and heel and face and heel. And then they were gone. And then they came back and lost to the MFTs. And then they're gone for good. Nikki Cross, correct me if I'm wrong. In this entire, 2-year run of the Wyatt Six, did Nikki Cross ever have an actual match?
Not a one-on-one match.
Not a singles match.
No. Not a single one.
No. Did Eric Rowan ever have a singles match?
I'm trying to think.
I honestly don't think he did.
He
Maybe one.
He might have had one, but not many.
And this group was highlighted as far as the in-ring work with the tag title run of Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis.
Right.
We never really got much of a singles push with Uncle Howdy or Bo Dallas. Now, there was a period in that he got hurt. So that obviously put a halt on things. But this was the group that was supposed to just completely wreak havoc and turn WWE upside down. And then they just became an occasional spectacle. And now they're just gone. What are your thoughts with it?
I think that it's just typical WWE to not understand how to book anything called the Wyatts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just be honest. Like, when Bray Wyatt was alive, and God rest his soul, they botched that too. The only time that they actually got Bray Wyatt right is when they booked him to win the heavyweight title. He won the title at the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
And then what did they proceed to do after that?
They lost that at Mania to Randy Orton.
But they gave us a garbage storyline that really didn't materialize properly to be able to really have the buzz for that match.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just typical WWE. They just never knew what to do with Bray Wyatt. They never knew what to do with the Wyatt family. They never knew what to do with Rowan and Harper. They never knew what to do with anything. And now they get this spectacular debut where they literally lay everybody out. What was the follow-up? Nothing, because these writers had no idea what to do with them. And Triple H talks about it all the time. Well, we make movies. Well, motherfucker, you had literally a scary movie right here to be able to book, and you couldn't do it. It was literally right there for you. We talked about it several times when it started, right?
Yeah.
Before we had this show. We were saying like, yo, all you have to do is book them like heels on and have them terrorize people. And all you had to do was just have some cinematic backstage promos or whatever it is to really start building what they're doing, and then you can be able to have some in-ring stuff. But here's the problem. Here's the major problem that they had, that they literally booked themselves into a corner and they realized that they couldn't go any further. Once they started booking them to have magical powers, it was over. It was over. They should have been booked like psychopaths. That's it. Right?
They should have been booked like psychopaths. And to your point, and I remember talking about this when they first debuted as well.
Yeah.
I said, no one in this group should lose a match for a minimum of a year.
Correct. Build it up.
You got to build up each one on how psychotic and more dominant each one is to the following one.
And on top of that,
with Uncle Howdy being the craziest of them all.
And on top of that, just to be able to piggyback off your point, we never got backstory. Why did Nikki Cross become Sister Abigail? Why, like all of these things, we never got any character development at all. Again, you want to talk about movies, where's your character development? We got none of it.
Yeah.
We got none of it. So we knew that this was coming. I knew that they were going to get released at some point, but it was just, I was shocked that they released all of them and didn't at least keep Dexter Lumis because he's such a good hand. Why you would get rid of Dexter Lumis is just like, come on now. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I hate it, but it's not shocking to me.
See, I felt that same exact way, but with Nikki Cross instead of Dexter Lumis. Because
same thing with her.
You could have inserted her in, whether you had her right back in the women's division as a good hand, or you have her, as an agent.
Right.
Because she's so knowledgeable with everything regarding women's wrestling, and so good, not just in ring, but the character work as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she pulled off being a superhero.
Right.
And won Money in the Bank as a superhero.
I just think that, whether it was Vince or Triple H, when she was in NXT, there just never was a time where I felt like she was getting the proper push that she deserved.
Yeah.
Like she was always just like, oh my God, there's Rhea, there's Becky, there's this. Oh yeah, Nikki Cross over there. Like, I mean, she never felt included in regards to what was happening with all the other women when she's just as good as those women.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons they probably didn't, which is a sad reason, is because the look, she's short, but not, like super, jacked per se, even for her height. But at you and I, that's complete BS because we know that she could run laps around most of the roster.
Yeah.
And was, again, not just in the ring, but with the character development and the mic work and
her psychology.
All about the eyes and the facials, the psychology. She did that, whether it was Insanity, Buddies with Alexa Bliss, the Superhero, Sister Abigail, whatever it was, she showed out every time.
She's one of the people that
it's crazy.
She's one of the people that I believe that, she would do very well in AEW just because she has all of those things that you just mentioned. And given the opportunity, she can really be able to make some headway, or she can make a lot of money on the indies, honestly. Like, she can, it's one of those things where she can be able to reinvent herself. And I wouldn't be surprised if WWE or AEW comes calling in like 6 months from now, because she's so good that she's going to get another opportunity.
And on the indies, she could be one of 3 different people.
Yeah.
She could be Nikki. She could be Abigail. She could be what was her superhero name? Now I'm drawing a blank on the superhero name. But Nikki ASH.
ASH.
Yeah. So I mean, she can be booked. Like she can do like a 3 Faces of Foley type appearance.
Yeah.
So she'd be great at that. Another one of the releases that you want to talk about a great hand to have, and this one, I wasn't liking how they were using her to begin with, just because of of the package and what she can provide, but she did her role incredibly well. Alba Fire. Alba
One
Fire was the longest reigning UK women's champion that they had. And she technically, like as far as technical wrestling, you could argue that she was the best on the roster.
Once they renamed her Alba Fire, she was cooked.
Mm-hmm.
She was cooked.
Yep. Get ready for her to immediately get in the women's title picture in AEW.
100%.
And she is gonna, you talk about how Toni Storm completely like reinvented herself and got over in AEW. Alba Fire is going to do something very similar to that.
And what I like about her too is that she's physical, and
Yes.
you don't see that a lot with women. So that's why she's gonna fit very well, especially in AEW, because they do have a little bit of more of a physical style there for the women. So, which is actually pretty good. So I'm hoping that she gets signed with AEW.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I do also want to mention Zoe Stark, because I have been a huge fan of Zoe since NXT, and she was probably pound for pound the most athletic, not athletic woman, maybe one of the most athletic people on the entire roster before she got that gruesome injury on that Monday Night Raw, and she just got medically cleared
and got released.
So I really hope, whether it's AEW, TNA, Japan, somewhere, you got a gold mine in Zoe Stark.
Yeah,
because she can put on 5-star matches.
Yep.
I'm not surprised with this one, but Motor City Machine Guns I just kind of find funny.
Yes, extremely fun. I think for them, and you probably might agree with me when I say this, is that I just think that they just wanted to say that they were in WWE to kind of live their dream just one time, right? They probably knew that going to WWE was not going to be a good career move, just in regards to like how they were going to be utilized. But they were just like, bro, we got to go to WWE anyway. We just got to say that we achieved our dream to be able to be in WWE. And they did that. And, they were given the tag team titles. Doesn't mean anything, no. But, they checked off the bucket list. Now they can be able to go to AEW and really make some headway, because them in AEW against the Young Bucks, against, FTR, there's so many other teams that they can be able to really work with. That's going to be beneficial for them. So that's where they should have headed the first place. But I can understand that you want to check off, kind of a bucket list thing.
Yeah. And here's the other thing with them, though. I mean, Chris Sabin's 44, Alex Shelley's 42.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see him going into AEW. I don't know if it's going to be a long run.
Yeah, probably. Listen, they can do a nice 2-year run and be done.
Sure, I can see that.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
I can absolutely see that. But yeah, just exactly like you said, heavily advertised as like your favorite tag team's favorite tag team. Hyping them to the moon. Immediately win the tag titles, then immediately lose them, and then are just there.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, releases are coming. Sadly, this one didn't surprise me, as incredibly talented as both of them are.
Absolutely.
I do want to give some flowers to Apollo Crews, because he avoided his phone for so many years. But again, this is a guy that could easily be in your main event. He has the ring work. He has the look. He has the mic skills. He can do it all.
One of the most athletic guys you'll ever see.
They never, in 10 years he was on the main roster, never probably found a spot for him. And I'm including that run that he actually did have it with the Intercontinental Champion being like the Nigerian, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They had a diamond in Apollo Crews and couldn't make it work for whatever reason.
It's always funny how when you look at wrestlers' runs in NXT, and then you see that their main roster run, is just like, why can't you just do that?
Yeah.
Like, he was just so dynamic with how he put his moves together. and him being this like compact, just immense power. Like there was nothing that Apollo Crews couldn't do in the ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes me upset, is because there's no reason why Apollo Crews couldn't be in your mid card, high mid card for a very long time, because there was no reason for him not to be in there. Fan favorite, got people love him, but you just never made him interesting enough for people to really be sold on him.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is that, you know, it's one thing to not have any talent and they keep trying things with you and it doesn't work. All you had to do was just give us what you gave us in NXT, and they just never did.
And then come the three names that are, by all accounts, the biggest head scratches of all of them. First off, the pairing of Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. By the way, Aleister Black was in the forefront of the Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feud. It looked like it was all set for him to, after Mania, either feud with Randy or be the next person for the WWE Championship. Zelina was finally settling back into being what she's a very good wrestler, but honestly, what she does best is the managerial role.
Yes.
And she's fallen back into that while still wrestling. And they had that dynamic going. They had the talks with Sammy. They had the talks with Randy. They had the talks with Cody. They're all over the picture, including stalking Jelly Roll at one point. So they were there, and poof, they're gone. How did this even happen?
You asking?
I mean, that was kind of a question.
Triple H, to me, because this falls on Paul Levesque's desk, nobody else's.
Okay. You don't think this was a TKO decision?
I think TKO does not tell Paul Levesque, hey, you need to release this person. They give Paul Levesque a budget. This is the number that we need to get to. You need to find a way to get to this number. So Triple H then now goes to the roster and sees exactly what redundancies he wants to make. Biggest problem that I have with this is that Aleister Black was a made man in NXT. There was nobody at that time that was hotter than Aleister Black. Entrance, music, skill set, move set, promo work. Everything about Aleister Black screamed megastar.
Yep.
Gets up to the main roster and Vince McMahon does bullshit. We know what happened.
Yes.
He left, went to AEW, and just literally sat around for 4 years. They had some stuff.
I'm going to disagree. They started with him as a main man because he beat Cody.
Yes. His debut, he beat Cody, but
and then they decided to put him with the team, and then he faded to a figure. Yes.
After that, it was pretty much just him just kind of laying around.
They had him set to be main event, and then just like with WWE, for whatever reason, boom,
like he just never connected with Tony Khan. You know, the rest is history. He comes back to WWE because he trusted Triple H. Triple H took care of him in NXT. Vince McMahon fucked him up on the main roster. So him coming back to WWE was like, all right, cool. I'm coming back to WWE because my man is in charge. Like, we're going to be able to do this the right way. And Triple H dropped the ball with him again. And there is no reason why Aleister Black shouldn't have been running SmackDown.
Yeah.
Outside of Cody being champion and Randy there and all these other personalities, Aleister Black should have been, like you said, he was in all these storylines and all these other names. He should have been tormenting every single person on SmackDown because he's that good. You don't give Karrion Kross a contract. You move on from Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and then you give the gimmick to Selena and Aleister Black, and then you cut them a year to the day that you signed them, that he made his debut, a year to the day. So you only give Aleister Black a year to be able to figure it out? on a SmackDown roster.
And he did
show,
figure it out.
And he did figure it out on a SmackDown show that's devoid of star power.
Yeah.
You couldn't get him over on SmackDown. That is a Triple H problem. That has nothing to do with TKO. That got nothing to do with argument. This is a Triple H issue, is that you fucked up. You fucked up. Your writers had no idea what to do with him. And this is what happens to Aleister Black. There's a good chance that he comes back. But if I'm Aleister Black, why would I?
Yeah.
Why would I? I'd rather either go in the Indies with Zelina, do our thing. Nobody's gonna screw with us, or I just retire from wrestling. He's done everything that he wanted to do in regards to like just making an impact. He doesn't need to wrestle anymore because he's made a lot of money. He doesn't have anything to prove. But if he still wants to continue his career, then I would just go to the Indies. I wouldn't sign to anybody. Just because you just can't. There's no way you can trust Triple H at this point because you know the reports just came down that he just signed a 3-year deal. So TKO is very happy with his production, but we are not really happy with how he's utilized a lot of people on the roster. It's just stupid. This is really stupid. No disrespect, I see dudes like Damian Priest out there just doing nonsense. You don't have space for Aleister Black. I see what's his name that just fought Obafemi tonight?
Grayson Waller.
Great, you got Grayson Waller here, but you don't have space for Aleister Black? Give me a fucking break. It's just dumb. It's just absolutely stupid.
Well, on the subject of stupid, there's one more release to talk about.
No, don't get me started with this. I got hot just now. I'm about to be on fire.
So you don't want me to bring up Santos Escobar?
Oh, not him.
Okay. Oh. Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, who was in the midst of a storyline that should have had a Mania match. And being that they didn't, should have then been in the tag title match as a replacement because you could have still built the story. Then you have the Raw after Mania where you continue to build the story and escalate it further by having a dominant tag team match with her and Asuka against Rhea and Io Sky. The crowd, and for us for months, has been, when is Kairi going to finally have enough of Asuka? And when are we going to get this Kairi versus Asuka student versus teacher feud? Because that makes sense. We wanted to see it happen. We wanted to see her realign with Io. We wanted to see Kairi finally actually get some type of singles push because they had it written and ready to go.
And the fans were invested. They never got tired of it.
And that was proof with tonight, as we get ready to get into Raw, when we had the Asuka segment, the crowd was just chanting, "We want Kairi."
Yep.
Now, there was a situation last year around this time when WWE released R-Truth.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone went nuts, and rightfully so, because R-Truth is a human treasure. And all of a sudden, I believe it was at Backlash.
Yep.
R-Truth unexpectedly returned based on the fan outrage. Can Kairi come back at Backlash now that they've announced Io versus Asuka? Sure, they can, but we already know it's not going to nearly have the type of impact that the R-Truth one did because we just saw that whole thing happen. So you put yourself in a horrible situation that you never had to put yourself into to begin with because you never had to release her. You could have kept this going. If you decided in 6 months to release her after this story played out, all right, would have sucked, but then we would have gotten the payoff that we've been building for 6 months towards.
Yeah.
But you release her. If you were to bring her back, there'll be a pop for that moment. But then we're going to be like, all right, well, now we can't take anything that anyone ever says seriously anymore. Because now you're making this you're making this a bit. If you release someone, but then immediately bring them back. So this could not have been a worse decision by the WWE. I don't care who made the decision. Whoever made it should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Because you had printed money for this feud that people wanted to see. And then you can do whatever you want with her, whether you cement the face turn, you move one of them to SmackDown, whatever the case may be. You have built this for nearly 6 months. And now we're supposed to forget that all of it happened.
This is another case of, again, Kairi Sane in NXT was awesome.
Yep.
The Pirate Princess, the entrance, the move set, the finisher off the top rope. I love that elbow, right? Everything about her was money.
Mm-hmm.
She gets up to the main roster, and Vince McMahon goes ahead and screws us up again. Like, this is Kairi Sane. If you just notice her facials, how she can be able to tell a story in regards to like her being scared of Asuka, and then we were just waiting for her to kind of like muster up that courage to be able to just tell her, I've had enough. It was getting there. She was telling those stories with her facials, and you don't release people like this that get it. There's nothing wrong with Kairi Sane. There was nothing wrong with what she was doing. You need female stars. You need new stars. You need breath of fresh air. She can be able to provide all of that. And yet you go ahead and you release her. It's just silly, man. Like I said, like, you know, WWE releases, we talk about it every year, and we always have same conversations about certain releases, but this year just felt a little weird, man, because it's just like, why would you go for these three people? Zelina, Aleister Black, Kyrie. It's like, there's no reason to have them go.
And I mean, and this is not like trying to call out other wrestlers, because you never want anyone to lose their job. But if I were looking at the Raw and SmackDown rosters, I can point out 3 to 5 people on each of the shows who, not saying that they're bad, but that they're just not doing anything with them.
Right.
So, maybe it would have been time for that person to go,
yeah.
as opposed to someone who was in a main event caliber type feud.
Right.
And then poof, gone without any explanation, without any payoff, without nothing. It's honestly, this is the area of the business where, yes, it's part of the business, but it sucks as part of being part of the business.
That's the worst part,
because it's wrong when a person like that, who's being heavily used, loses their job, while some other people that have not been on TV in months, for whatever the reason is, are still holding on to spots.
Yeah. Listen, it just comes down to Triple H's decisions and 2 words that a lot of people realize in wrestling: downside guarantee. That downside guarantee matters to everything when it comes to releases.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, whoever has the highest downside guarantee, they will go ahead and let them go. And it doesn't shock me in regards to that particular aspect why Aleister Black was on that list. But it's just like, you want to develop stars. You want to have stars on your program, yet you let one go out the door twice.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you didn't let one go out the door. You kicked one out the door twice.
Correct. Twice. And it's like, what's the point of getting invested into anybody when you're just going to go ahead and do this?
Mm-hmm.
When they have a good gimmick. That's the whole point. Like, we don't understand if it wasn't working. It was working, because at the end of the day, had we not got Pat McAfee, we would have probably got Aleister Black in that situation, and it would have made all the sense in the world.
You're making a very interesting point here. Could we, not a Triple H thing, could we say Pat McAfee cost Aleister Black his job?
100%. 100%.
I wonder if Pat McAfee ever gets wind of something like that, how he would react to something like that.
I think Pat McAfee is already very upset by the way the whole thing went down and how he's being portrayed out the door. Adding fuel to the fire would definitely make him a lot more angry. I definitely would predict that. But yeah, I think that you have it spot on that Pat McAfee, with no real intention of his own, got Aleister Black canned. And it sucks because we could have got something really special, not only before Mania, but after Mania.
Right. Because again, if with, like Cody's promo that he gave this past SmackDown, because obviously who knows if he's even going to be cleared to wrestle at Backlash with his injury.
Right.
But if we were holding off a rematch with him and Randy, well, the way everything looked on SmackDown, it would have made the most sense for it to be Cody and Aleister.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, on the SmackDown side, we get rid of the guy and his manager, who would have obviously been a huge part of it, who would have been involved in a WWE title match at Backlash, as well as we get rid of, on the Raw side, one of the women who has had a 6-month build, which is such a rarity that you have a build like that where there's no title involvement.
Right. And the fans are still invested.
And the fans are invested and behind it and want it to be a main event.
Yeah.
Poof, gone.
Just stupid. That's the only word that I can use. Just stupid. WWE is starting to get a lot more stupid than I remember. I mean, there's been some lean years, but like this just feels comical. Just dumb.